My name is Dr. Vincent Pedre. I am a leading health expert and physician practicing in of Americans are overweight. As I'm about to reveal about the food industry are going to shock you. They might even make you angry. But if you want 2020 to be the year you finally slim down, reclaim that energy you once had in your youth and dietary guidelines. Officially, it's determined by members of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. But unofficially, it's highly influenced by lobbyists from the giant food manufacturers. Companies, I'm sure your gut instinct would tell you the bread is healthier than the candy bar, right? Especially considering it's made with whole grains. But here's the shocking truth. Eating this slice of whole grain bread will actually cause a higher surge of your blood sugar than the candy bar. And I probably don't have to tell you that high blood sugar causes all sorts of health problems, like headaches, fatigue, bloating, brain fog, and, of course, diabetes. So why is it so ingrained in our minds that whole wheat is a healthy choice? Well, it wasn't always this way. Remember those food lobbyists I warned you about? 40 years ago, they set out on a mission to change the way Americans eat and push the foods that could make them the most profit, like highly processed grains. You probably have seen or at least heard of the food pyramid. When it first came out in 1992, grains made up the base, suggesting Americans eat 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta per day. Just think about that for a second. That's nearly 4 slices of bread at every meal. Even a doctor like me doesn't have to tell you that's too much. So why were government officials urging Americans to eat so many grains? Well, according to Louise Light, who was the USDA Director of Dietary Guidance at that time, the original recommendation she and other top nutritionists suggested was just 3 to 4 daily servings of whole grain breads and cereals. That's less than half the amount of what ultimately ended up in the published pyramid. But money talks, and the lobbyists representing the processed wheat and corn industries convinced government officials to increase the numbers so they could sell more bread and protect their profits. Light has since said this: the health consequences of encouraging the public to eat so much refined grain, which the body processes like sugar, was frightening. She even warned the USDA way back then that the revised food pyramid would likely lead to an epidemic of obesity and diabetes. Unfortunately, Light was right, and the damage to the health of millions of Americans has already been done. Today, more than 60% of what we eat has been processed in one way or another. It's been doused with chemicals to help it grow. It's been sprayed with pesticides to protect it in the fields. It's been genetically modified to be bigger and more robust. But like I told Dr. Oz and Robin Roberts on Good Morning America, there are many dangers surrounding genetically modified foods. I've spoken out a lot about GMO corn, the nation's most popular vegetable, which is also the most hazardous to your health, in my opinion. Why? Because it is covered with glyphosate, a pesticide that has been scientifically proven to wreak havoc on your health, particularly your gut. But what I am revealing for the first time now, in what my medical colleagues and I consider my most important video to date, is even more vital to your health. See, there's another health-destroying crop you need to know about. I'm talking about wheat, again. That's right, that same grain that you were raised to believe is healthy your entire life, whole wheat, was actually created in a science lab to produce better yields. Basically, that means farmers can get more wheat to grow in their fields without the need for more land. It was in the 1950s and 60s, an era now known as the Green Revolution, when agricultural scientist Norman Borlaug invented what is called dwarf wheat, by breeding or crossing several different types of wheat from all over the world. Though his intentions were good, to quickly increase the world's food supply and put an end to starvation in developing countries, because this new wheat was more drought resistant, he inadvertently created a type of Frankenstein wheat, lacking nutrition. In fact, the amount of calcium, magnesium, zinc, and iron in wheat plummeted overnight by nearly 30%. As one of my esteemed colleagues put it, we are eating an empty harvest, craving more calories to get the basic nutrition we need. Basically, all the dwarf wheat breads, cereals, and pastas we've been eating for the past 50 years or so, as recommended by the USDA and that rotten food pyramid, are fueling our bad food cravings, making us eat more processed and sugary foods, and ultimately leading to weight gain, low energy, bloating, and indigestion. It's a vicious cycle. What's worse is that dwarf wheat contains 30 to 50% more gluten than the wheat our ancestors were eating. That's the sticky protein that gives bread its chewiness and bounce. Modern wheat is so high in gluten, in fact, it is destroying the guts of millions of Americans, resulting in all sorts of other health issues like poor mood and sleep, brain fog, rashes like hives, and achy backs and joints. But how can extra gluten make such a big impact on not only your digestive system, but your brain, skin, and bones too? Well, your digestive system works by absorbing all the nutrients from the foods you eat, while removing all of the toxins and waste when you go to the bathroom. And the control center of your gut, the supercomputer that makes it all happen, is something called the microbiome, which is your body's unique collection of both good and bad bacteria. Think of it this way. Good bacteria are like the police patrolling your gut. They keep a close eye on the bad guys, your bad bacteria, to make sure they don't commit the most serious gut crime. Gut lining is extremely thin and vulnerable. In fact, it's made up of just one single layer of cells, responsible for keeping toxins and food particles from escaping your gut.